Welcome to Section 3, Working with Services, Compute. In this video, I want to give you an introduction to virtual machines on the Google Cloud Platform, and virtual machines are part of Google Cloud's Compute offering. And it seems apropos to start with a quick refresher on virtualization in general. Remember that virtualization just means taking physical hardware and using specialized software to divide the resources of that hardware into multiple smaller virtual resources. And at a large scale, virtualization is the technology that powers the cloud. Consider that Google Cloud has massive amounts of hardware stuffed into interconnected data centers around the world. Each time you deploy any product on Google Cloud or any other product on any other cloud platform, for that matter, you are leasing a very small chunk of those available hardware resources. Those resources are managed by powerful software. The job of the hypervisor is to abstract the underlying hardware from the user. So when you provision something on Google Cloud, you actually don't do anything with the hardware. It's all a software construct presented to you by the hypervisor, and it does its thing in the background. Here's the basic idea of abstraction. We want to hide the details of lower layers from the working layer. So there we have a very basic abstraction model with 3 layers. Suppose that layer 1 is hardware, layer 2 is a hypervisor, and layer 3 is the virtual layer. This is where virtual machines and other virtual entities live. The hypervisor manages the relationship between the virtual layer and the hardware, and users are at the very top of this abstraction model and almost every other abstraction model as well. Humans do not directly interact with layer 1 in this model. They directly interact with layer 3, and then layer 3 interacts with layer 2, and then layer 2 interacts with layer 1. So you see the basic idea of how abstraction works. There are 2 major types of virtualization, and we can see the layers in operation here. Look at type 1, for example. We have the first layer, which is hardware. We have the second layer, which is the hypervisor. And then we have the third layer, which is the virtual layer. This is the type of virtualization that you'll see and that you'll use when we deploy cloud services from a public cloud provider like Google Cloud Platform. You may have used type 2 virtualization on your own desktop or laptop when you've ran Parallels or VMware Workstation. You still have hardware. The hardware in this case is your laptop or your desktop. You have a host OS, Windows or Linux or Mac. Then you have a hypervisor installed on top of the host OS, VirtualBox, VMware Workstation, Parallels, something like that. And then from there you can provision virtual machines. So at the top of both of these models are virtual machines. On Google Cloud Platform, virtual machines are known as virtual machine instances. And there are a couple of things a virtual machine needs in order to be a real virtual machine. It needs storage, it needs RAM, and it needs processor power, just like any computer. Storage becomes interesting because a virtual machine comes with a small, persistent, that means always attached, boot disk, and then you can add and remove additional disks as you see fit. You can also bump up the RAM, bump up the processor power, and of course be charged for all of that extra memory and processor power as well.